Hello, welcome to my channel. It's good to have you here. My name is Gemma. I am an advanced occultist, criminologist. Seen this neck? Oh yeah, went to see my doctor. He snapped that back right into place. Right, my back. Oh yeah, my hips. Woo! Snap that back into place. Best doctor he is. I don't know what's going on with the NHS. I'm going to have to be honest with you here. I have no idea what's going on down there in the NHS. I don't know, since they changed everything to managerial positions within the doctor surgeries, I just seem to think there's something not quite right there. So, obviously there's privatisations, they've already done that already, so it's almost like they're shifting the NHS into a privatisational position, But we already knew this was going to happen in 2012, because they were privatising all the institutions anyway. You can even sue the NHS now. I mean, it's good in a way, you can sue them, but it's not because it's a public sector service. It's almost like you're rinsing it, and it's like, well, what is it there for in the first place, So if you've got privatisation taking place already in the smaller zones, it's going to eventually end up taking place in the bigger zones. So it's going to end up turning into it's going to end up turning into a privatised state, right? So in the UK, as I don't think people might understand if you're from America or somewhere else, you might say, what's she on about, right? Because we have public services, so it's free on the NHS, right? So usually what happens is that you go to the NHS and you just go get free service, right? And it's because, it should be paramount. This is a left-wing humanitarian prospect where we cater to the human race, right? And then we sort of breathe life into people. Okay, this is a left-wing perspective. And then you get a right-wing perspective where they're pushing they push economy as a main factor, and they also what else do? They've privatised a lot of public sectors. And what can happen with then when this stuff happens, which Thatcher started doing this, but usually the reason why it's not good is because it's not for the people anymore. It becomes a corporate state. Okay, so then it becomes more of an economy-based state than it does a private and privatised, and corporations would mainly rule and overrule these over the left-wing perspective, which would be a left-wing, which is usually red in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else. I think it's red. Yeah, it's red. So it's Labour here, but Labour sounds like a contradictory word to even use for that. I mean, left wing is like where we come together and we sort of inhabit a peaceful world, and we do it for the people, we do it for the children, we have these services available, so that this service was put in place in 1945, the NHS, and it was placed to give people not a free ride, but just like a free service. I mean, everyone should be entitled to that. I mean, if you're dying on the floor and you need help, well, you get an ambulance, don't you? But it's almost like, I think I've heard, this is quite worrying, in America, if you need an ambulance, if you didn't have a credit card on you, they'd just leave you there. I don't know if that's true. I think I might be like, but I have no idea. I have no idea. But in our country, they wouldn't do that. However, what's going on in our country is that you don't have ambulances that much anymore. People have to wait 2 hours for an ambulance, even little kids, right? And it's quite serious because they just leave them. It's worrying. Because it's almost like that it's not for the people anymore. So, you've got to think, if corporations, what do they need to produce something? They need humanity to buy their products. So if you need humanity to buy your products, you need them to be good enough in a service to be able to be good enough to buy your service, right? Unless you're gonna oh yeah, you need this for this reason and it's gonna help you, right? So obviously that's another idea, but it all works in on itself. Okay, it's not a verse. It's not left wing versus right wing. It shouldn't be like that. This is why they're all sitting there. It should be, we understand this side, we understand this side. Let's bring it together, make it make sense, and then go ahead with it. So that's not really what happens these days. It just kind of is, which one wins, and then they win or they get it all. But it's almost like it shouldn't just be fractured, because this is the economy, this is the state. It's all fractured. So we need to bring it together so that it does a full circle on an idea that we can create spaces within our functions in society that can create brings a mark of respect for the people. Because if you work for the people, then you work under a corporation, you're working for the people as well, then it does a full circuit, right? So you always have to have certain things in place. This is always going to make it a functional working society where we are civilized. This would be like an ambulance. If you need an ambulance, you should come. Like, I don't know whether we should do a charity-based organisation. We need more ambulances. Let's do a charity-based organisation. We need more ambulances. Stuff like this. Like, we could maybe come together like that. I mean, I've seen people do charity organisations online and they get so much input, so much. And, you know, it's not just like, oh, it's just not going to happen anymore. Oh, this isn't going to happen anymore. Like, we need to step in and sort of create these places where there's organisations that can come forward with ideas to stop this, the de-evolution of a state. So let's get into this. I was having a conversation, I heard it was ARAHMAN. This is the era of ARAHMAN, right? So I think that's chaos and destruction. So if that's the case, then in Egyptian times, I think that was Maat's nemesis. I think his name was ARAHMAN. And I think that's what I heard that he was talking about. But I think that's the name of who is against Maat, which is the goddess of justice, and what else is she? Goddess of justice and cosmic order and all that stuff, all that good stuff. But then you have ARAHMAN, who is like the complete opposite, and it's meant to be his era. So I just want to let you all know, that's what I heard today, but it brings in understanding this topic. Because the reality is that if you aren't going to understand a left and a right wing and your own purposes in this role, in wherever you are, whatever you're doing, in your politics, if you don't understand, there has to be a full circle taking place where there is an aspect of morality taking place for the people, right? And this is always going to be first, right? Because otherwise, what's the point of being sitting in there? What's the point of being sitting in there? Might as well just let the corpse take over, ain't you? Right? Might as well just let them all take over and see what disasters created on this plane. Because there's no regulations when it comes to them. Okay? This is why the Parliament's there. To regulate them, right? So if it's the era of ARAHMAN, it smells of disaster. Doesn't it? So who actually dictates what year we're in? What era we're in? Is it the people? Or is it one man at the top? Like, not literally an analogy of that, but I mean one man at the top saying, oh, this is what year we're in, this is what's happening now. You have to think about it. So the idea of having that team, like the left wing and the right wing, against each other is kind of like a form of hypocrisy, because it's not them versus them, right? Hear me out. And there's a reason it shouldn't be like this. Okay, we're civilized. You're adults. Okay, we didn't come here to like have a show and tell. It wasn't a show and tell. It's not a show and tell, is it? It's not a, oh, we're gonna fake it till we make it. You know, it's not that. It's really looking at it for the people and the benefits that's going to happen and take place for the people, not for like, you know, how much money you're gonna get in your next salary, just for you. But it's more of an idea that this can actually this is why we have it in the first place. It solves aspects of discrimination, okay, within systematic processes, okay, and if it's not being dealt with, so there's things that are being hidden, okay, which are, right, at the minute, there's lots of things that are being hidden. If you're not going to register this, okay, because the media are bringing it out, okay, the media brings it out, okay, so we always need journalists because they bring it out, okay, they bring this knowledge out. It might be a pile of sometimes, but they bring it out, okay, they bring this information out, okay, and then what we have to see is that when they bring this information out, they can see that this will deter, okay, it deters the people who are trying to corrupt humanity. Okay, so this is very simple. Okay, so when we don't go and take advantage of people, we just understand it and then we work with it, instead of being like an ARAHMAN where you want chaos. And it just doesn't work like that, because ultimately what will happen is we all fall, like we all fall down. Okay, you will come to your own demise, and it kind of is like that. Whatever you do onto me goes back onto you. It's kind of like that, because it's a cycle, right? So, you know, you might be having a hard time. You might think, why am I having a hard time? Well, I'm not. So the reason why I say this is because, you know, you might think you're winning because you got a bit of dollar in that. You might think you're winning because you got this. You might think you're winning because you got this. And you might think you're winning because, you know, you're hurting someone's feelings. But, you know, ultimately, at the end of the day, you might not realise, but something's going to be taken away from you as well. That's how it works. And then we have to sit back and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have, like, you know, I don't feel too good about this situation that I'm in. Nobody can really help me in this personally, because, you know, maybe it's like a bereavement or something. But at the end of the day, what it is sometimes it might be a bereavement, but that's just a position where we behold, isn't it? Everyone, we come through life and then we leave, okay? But how are we making this world a better place? Are we making it a better place for humanity? Your next predecessors, your next line, are you making this a good place for them, or you're not? No. And it's kind of like, how do you sit with this? How do you want this to go? Like, so it's about not breaking, it's not about breaking, it's not about breaking it, it's about creating a space for it to be understood, rather. Okay, so when we come into spaces like where we need to learn about how we can grow from these policies, so we get different ideas thrown about, and this is kind of like where we're supposed to sort of meet in the middle, in there. And that's how it is. It's a circle, okay? And it's not because they win or they win, it's because meant to come together, okay? I think it's Congress, is it? In America? I'm not sure, I don't know. But it's Parliament in here, in ours, UK. And it's about bringing it together, making it make sense. Because this is how you can make a full understanding of a certain situation to create that. So this is like a Lord position. This is where the Lords sit. This is where the Lords might make the policies, right? So this is kind of where, you know, they put it together. But we have to understand here now, because some of them, they're going to pass it, right? They're off. But this is the reality. What would you want? So this is like a Lord concept. What would you want to create a better world in this world? How do you want to create this better world? How do you want to create a better plane on this earth? What is the best thing to do? Right? So what is the best thing that we can do? Which is obviously, if you're going to fall back through into a reincarnation, okay, how would you want this world to be run? What makes it right for you? So this is like where the Lords will sit. And they're older now, so they should be more mature. And, you know, this is where it kind of brings an aspect of humanitarianism into it. The reason why I'm so humanitarian, I think, is because I got Mercury in Aquarius, late degrees. So I am really humanitarian, like, because that's what Aquarius do. They're humanitarian in nature. Okay, I love Aquarius people, especially the ones who have like, you know, the basic planets in that. I love them because they're just so like clued in. They know what's going on, and they might not know everything, but they know what's going on to a degree. So they'll have the degrees. You know, mine's Mercury Aquarius 25 degrees, I think. So I'm 27, something like that. So it's quite late. So I see. So when it's in the later degrees, like especially where your Mercury is, you know, you've all got a good input there. Especially you ones who have later degrees, Mercury's in the later degrees, you might understand different things. You might connect to this world. You might have understanding of this world in a different way. You know, you might be able to see something, because usually, you know, Aquarius people especially, we step back, we can see it like a puzzle. Okay, so this is how you might find you've got you know, people who are connectors, and they might be quite, you know, far back out there because they're observing, they're seeing, they're saying, okay? And then you get some people who are just absolutely volatile, and they don't care about what they do. They just destroy stuff. Okay, they're not bothered. It's an ARAHMAN concept, right? So this isn't how can we make this a better place, but then an ARAHMAN can be taking out the baddies. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can. Sometimes you need that that form of chaos to bring an aspect of justice. So ultimately, your ARAHMAN might work with Maat. Why? Because they're trying to create a justice because they believe in the same things. But it's almost like the Maat can't go around, she can't go around and do that because she's the one that's ushering an aspect of peace. But then you've got ARAHMAN who's like, we're not having this. We're smashing it down because there's things in place that shouldn't be happening in society. Okay, so you can see in a two-way stream, you can see a two-way lens to this. So, but an ARAHMAN might be like a raging pedo who's absolutely disgusting human being. Well, he's not an ARAHMAN, mate. We're taking him down. Do you see what I mean? This is how it's like, how an aspect of chaos is. This is how an aspect of justice, and then Maat slams the aspect of chaos. What is unnecessary anymore? What are we taking down because it's unnecessary, right? So this is how you can understand aspects of like, an archetypal energy, and I'm bringing that in there as well with your politics, because it's necessary that we always remember our past roots or things like this, or archetypal energies, because it brings it into a context where destruction is necessary, a breaking down of the things that shouldn't be taking place in certain areas and fractions within our functions of society. But also, it's almost like they're the ones that are trying to rise to the top. Okay, so in the era of ARAHMAN, so this is what he said. This dude said. He said it to me, and he told me as well that this might be just reasons why this plane is a bit is in havoc, because everyone wants to reach that top concept. Well, what is the top? Because everyone's stepping on each other to get to a top. I think I read this somewhere. It was like steps, and it was like at the top there was just like a couple of men, and it's just like, they shouldn't be up there. It should be a woman and a child, and we should be protecting them and standing guard. So this is how I see it, but I am a humanitarian. So I am a 3, which is creativity. I am a 6, which is a nurturer, right? And I'm a 9, which is what? Humanitarian. Okay, so I've got Aquarius in my chart as well. That's humanitarian concepts, because that's the numerology of it. I think there's more. I think I'll post it on my community page so you can see the numerologies. But it's about understanding that we can grow after chaos, because we need to destroy the functions that aren't working. So I also have a different idea about what needs to be destroyed and what needs to be destroyed and what needs to be fixed. So I obviously tell you in my community, in my YouTube, what needs to be destroyed and what needs to be fixed. Well, this is the reality, isn't it? Like, what needs to be destroyed might not be the same thing as a really evil person